set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the better business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org. Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the better business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Friday here on Apolitical Talk Show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I'm joined by some great friends here on Apolitical Talk Show. Dean stepped up, but that's okay. We'll get him into an Apolitical Talk Show again. It's fun time here and there. Did you listen to Dino's Night Out? Well, you didn't. Well, you should have found it on YouTube. You can find it now. Well, just in case they didn't. There's some people who did, and then they said yes, but I can only hear the one person that said no. Everybody else saw it. But go ahead and go over to YouTube. Check it out. YouTube.com. You can find us by searching WRMN Radio. Let me introduce my guests over here today. We've got Ben Demonium Boquest, the master of mayhem. Ben brings the perfect mix of insight and unpredictability, ensuring every discussion stage engaging and occasionally a little chaotic. If politics were a game show, he'd be the host with the buzzer, keeping everyone on their toes. And then we've got Elliot Serrano, the geek in chief. Elliot's political takes come from a side of nerd wisdom, because who better to explain the state of democracy than a guy who knows every Star Wars rebellion by heart? If politics had an infinity gauntlet, he'd know exactly how to wield it. And responsibly, of course. And David Tees, the human fact checker here. David has a knack for cutting through political nonsense faster than Chicagoans cut through traffic on the Kennedy. With a quick wit and no BS attitude, he's the guy you want explaining the fine print of policy, preferably with a beer in hand. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
I like that. Thank you.
I agree with everything about that, except with Mr. T's. The only thing I agree about with him is the beer part.
Oh, you don't get the quick wit, the BS?
No, the quick wit I get, the BS, yeah. I mean, you know, I kind of he's good at shoveling it too sometimes.
Yeah. That's a great. It's a great bringer together, though. The beer. You used to hear that all the time, where it's like, you know, we may have our differences, but we could all sit around and have a beer after this and talk.
That has literally happened.
Yeah, we had a beer together.
You and I literally, we went to the dive bar around the corner. Yeah. Great cool place, by the way, for folks. If you're in the Elgin area, the dive bar, not far from the studio. David Tees and I went over there. We did have beers together. Yes. So, FYI, for everyone knows, I think this guy's a good guy. I give him crap. He gives me crap. We do that.
That's what makes our show fun when we do that. It'd be boring otherwise. I mean, even though it's not. But I know one thing: I'll never have a beer get into my beard because I don't have.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you use disposables or are you an electric guy?
I'm a disposable.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
he's got a baby face. I bet you can't even grow it.
No, but I feel like the guy that got kicked out of ZZ Top, right
it's
now.
True.
You ain't got a beard, you're out of here.
Well, there's one guy in ZZ Top that doesn't have a beard, and his name is Beard.
Really?
Yeah.
And I just saw a Funny or Die video with Brendan Gleeson, Coach Beard from Ted Lasso, and he had no beard. And they're going, what is going? The beard? I had no idea that he was ever clean shaven. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Some people meticulously squeeze toothpaste from the end of the tube, ensuring an orderly depletion, while others press randomly in the middle. This minor but significant debate can reveal fundamentally personality traits such as conscientious, spontaneity, and adaptability. In a 2022 study on household habits, found that 67% of participants believe squeezing from the end is the, quote, right way, while 33% admitted they squeeze from the middle purely out of convenience. Ben, does the way you squeeze toothpaste reflect a deeper personality trait, or is it just a random habit?
My opinion is hell no.
It's because you're a middle squeezer.
Yes. No. The way I approach the toothpaste, much like I approach everything in my life, which it's just one of those side effects. I don't know if my ADD or whatever you want to call it, but I tend to not do things the same way twice. You know, even having. I'm a believer that you should, like in the perfect world, I would fold over from the bottom of the toothpaste and seal it, and then go the next one. And that's the best way to do it. You fold it as it goes up, the tube gets smaller, blah blah blah.
Would you use one of those squeegees, Elliot? Like the little squeege that goes on the bottom?
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah. My mom got one of those. Yeah.
Your guitar capo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it annoys me to no end when people go and say the way you do one thing in life is the way you do anything. So it's like, okay, I use toothpaste daily, and I use peanut butter daily. Like, am I going to make a toothpaste sandwich because I use toothpaste all the time? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Let's go to our
Sure,
resident.
there's habits, but it's just it's one of those annoying things where people want to minority report what you do. Yes. And say, oh, if you do that, then what's going to stop you from putting toothpaste on your peanut butter sandwich?
Well,
that's very true.
I was with you, but then you just undid your whole argument right there.
Let's go to our resident efficiency expert. Mr. Tease, is there a practical advantage to squeezing from the bottom?
Well, yeah, you get it all, but I'm like in the middle, like, Ben over there. And then, just to make my wife mad, I push it all the way back to the bottom. So then, so then when the bathroom door goes flying open, she's got this look on her face like, gotta make life fun.
All the things we do for love. I'm one of those people that does squeeze from the middle, but then after I'm done, I then roll it. Like I use the edge of the counter to then reset it for the next person.
I'm working to be more like you every day. So.
But you're right. I squeeze it because how are you going to pinch the little end? And then it's a two-hand process to do it that way. Elliot, do small habits like these reveal deeper psychological tendencies, or like Ben says, are we just minority reporting everybody?
I'm gonna bring up David Tease's point again.
Okay. Of his wife being mad?
Of his wife being mad, okay? These small little things that to us, we don't think are a big deal. Oh, yeah, our significant others are like, you son of a, do you have to do that every time? But what's the big deal, baby? All I'm doing is squeezing the paste from the middle, and you still get paste. You always do this. You never take me seriously. You demean everything I talk about. So yeah, I'm going to take the side of every partner I've ever had that yelled at me for these little things that I didn't think mattered.
Yeah. Here's my counter argument to that, though. As a single person, what can you argue besides your own perspective?
But you realize that's why we're both single.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting on the pity stage here. But it's one of those things. Like, I acknowledge that's the way to do the toothpaste thing, and also I acknowledge you can do that. Once you squeezed in the middle, you can take your finger and it's a fixable issue. It takes 30 seconds. So like, eventually, I I have to, or else I don't have toothpaste. So if someone were to yell at me and say, hey, stop doing that, I would fix it immediately and say, oh, look, it's fixed. And never again.
I'm picturing Ben had this argument with somebody.
Himself in the mirror.
Yeah, before we got in a relationship, and then it just kind of happened,
So all you ladies out there, you should probably look up Ben on Facebook and start dating him. So he can, you guys could drive him crazy with some toothpaste.
And he will squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom for you. Okay, he
Whatever
will do
you
that.
say, baby. Whatever you say.
Not going to help.
Okay, now it's time to get a little bit more serious. I'm glad that we got that good icebreaker that's in there. If you've got an icebreaker that you would like the panel to discuss, go ahead and send it over. That's 505-926-1410 on the text line. Or you can always send us information. It's info@WRMN1410.com. That's an email in case you wanted to know. Let's talk a little bit about the 14th Amendment. We kind of skipped it over last week because we hit it so much with you and Cecilia, Mr. Tease. So let's talk a little bit about that. The 14th Amendment, one of the most consequential parts of the U.S. Constitution, has long been a pillar of civil rights, not just birthright citizenship, and equal protection under the law, as it's quoted. From its role to dismantling segregation to protecting voting rights, it has been central to many landmark Supreme Court decisions. However, with a more conservative-leaning Supreme Court, recent legal challenges have put the amendment under scrutiny, particularly concerning its interpretation on voting rights, affirmative action, and equal protection clauses. So since the ratification in 1868, the 14th Amendment has been the foundation of many civil rights victories. It has provided the constitutional basis for Brown versus the Board of Education, Roe versus Wade, particularly based on the due process clauses, and Obergefell versus Hodges. In Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, the Supreme Court ruled that racial segregation in public schools violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Similarly, Roe versus Wade in 1973 relied on the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to establish women's constitutional right to privacy, which the court then ruled included the right to access abortion services. Let's talk a little bit about this here. How has the interpretation of the 14th Amendment kind of evolved, and what key procedurals are they now putting under scrutiny, Elliot? Because we heard a lot of things with Clarence Thomas going after a lot of these things that are in here. Is birthright citizenship just a way to get the 14th Amendment back in front of the Supreme Court?
Sure sounds like it. I mean, here's the issue with the 14th Amendment. If you're a quote-unquote originalist, meaning from the original Constitution, you don't believe in the 14th Amendment. The amendment came after the fact. I mean, of course, what a lot of folks may not realize also that one of the populations that is excluded both from the Constitution and the 14th Amendment are Native Americans. It seems like the Constitution goes out of its way to deny Native Americans any sort of rights under the Constitution. Now, and then of course we had the issue with of course slaves, which also in the original Constitution were not given equal rights. That's what the 14th Amendment was supposed to help with. And then the Chinese immigrants who were brought over to work on the railroads, who were having families here. That's what was being invoked. So if you're going to, you would think if you were going to follow the precedent, as it's been set for at least a century now, you would go and say, it's a given. Birthright citizenship is a given. But I'm sorry, I don't trust these quote-unquote originalists or conservatives that are currently on the Supreme Court, because they always, especially Clarence Thomas, who I actually have somewhat of a personal connection with, who I don't get him sometimes.
Were you a co-signer on one of the loans?
Walmart parking lot.
Walmart parking lot. That's what it was.
Let's just say a friend of a friend is his lawyer.
Oh, okay. Mr. Tees, with a 6-3 conservative majority right now on the Supreme Court, legal experts speculate that the judicial approach to the 14th Amendment may shift towards a more restrictive interpretation. How does the conservative judicial philosophy influence maybe some of these rulings, because it is coming from a conservative executive branch almost with this? Will they fall in line with President Trump, or will we see birthright citizenship maybe go away?
Well, I hate to see birthright citizens go away, so I'm hoping
because I'm one of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so am I, and but these are different times, different things are happening now. I'm hoping that they come up with a good solution with all of this. But it is in the 14th Amendment. We should honor that. We shouldn't get rid of it just because of conservative side says we want to change things. That should be actually decided and talked about.
Ben, what is the problem they're trying to solve with removing birthright citizenship? Are they just saying the anchor babies or the whatever else? Is that really the only thing?
It seems like that's the campaign kind of idea, the campaign promise. The get rid of the quote unquote freeloaders or the people who are taking advantage of the system, quote unquote. And by doing that, it's much like a lot of what you've seen with the executive orders, a lot of blanket type of statements and policies, things like that. It's just the quote, the easiest way to say, oh, this is how you ensure that, I guess, there's not, the benefit of moving here, immigrating here.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, to the point, I also will say, I don't understand why we have such a difficult time accepting immigrants when you consider that the U.S. population is dropping. The people aren't having kids. They are not.
What are they, tired, hungry, huddled in
messes?
Really.
Right. So if you want to keep your workforce going, if you want to keep your American workforce with workers in it, then, hey, let's bring up these people who want to work. Let's do it. Let's bring them on board.
Well, and we're starting to see some of that even with the affirmative action and maybe even down to the voting rights side of things too. Recent Supreme Court decisions have reshaped how states can regulate elections, with many legal battles focusing on voter ID, redistricting, and the access to the ballot in general. With the rise of election-related lawsuits invoking the 14th Amendment, the question arises, will it continue to be a tool for protecting voting rights, or will these new rulings start to take these things over? Mr. Tees, will you take this one?
Well, I mean, I think that it's already happening now. I mean, the census is already counting non-natural citizens that came across the border. They're counting them as residents because they live in a house. They have permanent residencies, quote, is what they're saying. And this will change the demographics as to our electoral votes, as to which state gets it. So, it's that's the way it is. They're doing this, and that's not right. I mean, but birthright citizenship, like I said, protects us as protects any future family from having a kid. Because what's saying, like, they changed the laws and they say, well, your son was born, you're an American, but we're not going to give him birthright citizenship anymore. Now you got to get him out of here.
Yeah, pass the test or whatever.
Right, yeah, you got to take a test. But like with this, now that they're counting the illegals here or the migrants here as residents, that changes a lot of stuff.
Well, and in the historical context as well with the 14th Amendment was after the Civil War, part of the rebuilding as well. And that argument was also part of the southern states too, is they thought they should have more representation in Congress because of the slaves that lived in their cities and in their towns for it there. And the 14th Amendment kind of made that a non-issue at that point, because then it was, okay, now we can count your citizens. To ratify this or to fix this side of it, will we see maybe another amendment that says anybody who came here over a certain amount of time automatically gets citizenship? Would we see anything like that, Elliot?
No.
Okay.
I think the 14th Amendment should, I mean, knock on wood, remain uncontested. And again, with the injunction, especially that was on the executive order revoking birthright citizenship, even the federal judge said he could not fathom why any lawyer would bring that before him. It's like, that's like one of the basic precepts of the Constitution. It's a constitutional right. It's there. It's accepted, so on. And then adding or making an amendment to that or revoking that particular amendment would take 3/4 of the country, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would not expect that. Then again, there's a lot of stuff I wasn't expecting that's been happening. So.
Ben, which is faster, getting the Supreme Court to just make up a new interpretation or get an amendment passed?
Yeah, definitely the first one, especially if your buddies are over there.
You're telling me it's easier to change things with a lifetime appointed person than it is to get all of or 2/3 of the states to do this?
Give me all the softballs.
This is hard. That's my biggest issue with this, I think, is it's easy to just cut all regulations. It's easy to just burn the place down and rebuild it in what you want it to do. My point is does this presidency have the fortitude to do it the right way? Or are we constantly going to see, I'm going to do it my way, you all have to adjust?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things that you keep getting pushback that about the will of the people when anyone says, did you elect Elon Musk? A lot of people are stepping up and say, I did vote for full power or whatever. And when you start doing that, it's just volleyballing back and forth and not, then it's just as liable to be repealed. And, we're just in this quagmire, which I guess that's maybe the American way at this point, to be quagmirically involved.
The last 3 minutes, is this what the American people voted for?
I think the American people voted for this, but we also voted for common sense. And common sense is in all different departments, all different things we're supposed to be doing now. Sure. So I think this is what we're supposed to be looking at nowadays, not the old way, not everything else. Common sense policies.
Elliot? Was this the mandate that everyone voted for? Because
we wanted lower costs. We wanted inflation to come down. We wanted the price of groceries to come down. We wanted the price of gas to come down. We wanted housing to be affordable. We wanted health care to be affordable. Still waiting for any executive order on any of those things.
Yeah, and the press secretary has said that there is absolutely no timeline on when they are going to do any of that, but the president is doing everything in his power currently.
Any concepts of plans?
Well, and that's my issue when somebody says they're doing everything possible. It's like, can you list 2 or 3 of those?
Give me
things?
something.
That's always, I think, the default that's over there. Hey, we've come to the last little bit of what we've got going on over here. If you want to jump in, we've only got about a half hour left in today's show. 505-926-1410.
Keep waiting for the Dutchman. Dutchman, where are you?
Oh, I know. He's listening.
He called yesterday.
He's got his feet up. He's on the beach.
That's it. Oh, he's still in Hawaii right now?
I believe so.
Don't call Dutchman.
Yeah, no.
You're living your best life right now. But
my ties and politics don't necessarily go together. So maybe after a few of them that you get over there. When we come back at the after the bottom of the hour news, we'll go into some of these DEI attacks. There are things that are here. Will majorities now be able to sue for discrimination? That's coming down the pipe. We've also got, is the American workforce going back to the status quo of white male expertise default? We'll discuss that when we come back here on A Political Talk Show, WRMN.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzy. The Kane County Board will host a public meeting in Elgin regarding the special county retailers occupation tax referendum. The proposed 0.75% sales tax would fund public safety services, including law enforcement, emergency response, and technology upgrades. The meeting will take place February 24th in Elgin at the Gail Borden Public Library from 5 to 6 p.m. Kane County Clerk's Office announcing they've processed a record 1,024 new passport applications in January alone, driven by increased travel demand and the upcoming federal deadline for air travel identification. May 7th is the nationwide deadline to get a passport or real ID for air travel. A peaceful protest against President Trump's deportation plans and ICE detentions is planned for noon on Sunday at 270 North Grove Avenue in front of Gail Borden Public Library. Organized by students from Elgin Community College, the protest follows a previous protest back in January. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Are you looking for the perfect wedding planner? Or maybe you've always dreamed of hosting that unforgettable corporate event. At the Serendipity Collective, your dreams await. Located in the heart of Hampshire, Illinois, the Serendipity Collective specializes in both traditional and non-traditional weddings. They also offer event planning services for birthdays, bridal and baby showers, quinceañeras, corporate events, and more. From the moment you step into your attire for the first time, to the tears of joy during speeches and dances, they're sure to make you savor every moment of your special day. At the Serendipity Collective, they love what they do and are passionate about helping you create memories that'll last a lifetime. Visit Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., or evenings and weekends by appointment, or call at 847-749-7848, or email at info@theserendipitycollectivellc.com. The Serendipity Collective, your dream wedding awaits.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. A freezing drizzle advisory is in effect from mid to late Saturday morning through Saturday afternoon. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 25, rising to about 27 overnight. Tomorrow, snow and freezing drizzle likely, cloudy with a high near 32. Currently, it is 27 degrees and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Isn't he subscribed to the podcast? Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show. That's my favorite one. The other one that I love is Welcome to Apolitical Talk Show, where the American dream is catching up on sleep. Thank you. Thank you all again for being here. Free Speech Friday panel continues. This is the end. And of course, we've got the marvelous Mr. Dennis. Hello, Cleveland Dennis. Welcome aboard, sir. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, timely call because I just took a power nap in between. It's been a rough day.
Wow. I didn't know there was golf on.
I'm trying to be funny, but thanks for laughing. But here, I hear all this discussion, but somehow in the back of my mind, I go, if. All right? Mm-hmm. If all these politicians, I don't care from what side they're on or even outer space, if they would do the job, we wouldn't have all this mess or whatever you want to call it. But then again...
That's the bell of the day right there.
That bell.
Ding, 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 dong.
Yeah, but you guys and me, I wouldn't have nothing to think about, and you guys wouldn't have nothing to talk about. But
I wish I could discuss what type of ice cream we were all going to get this weekend.
Right.
I think that would be a great policy discussion. I'll even go back to where we used to debate, oh, well, it should be 15% tax. No, I think it should be 12. I would much rather go back to those debates.
Well, again, you mentioned a magic word because it's about tax, okay? People at work, like we all work, and you look at the tax and you have to pay the tax, and what do you get for the tax? If they would have all this stuff under control, we wouldn't have half of these problems. But I think the politicians have not lived up to their responsibility, or they changed their direction or view as to what they're supposed to do or what they're doing.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think on my end of it is the incumbency of our Congress. That, I think, has been one of the largest detriments to our country. People that have spent President Biden left with over 50 years of government service. Yeah. That is despicable, honestly.
Yeah.
I would much rather have seen 10 people spend 5 years in and get more. Now, I know the term limits don't add up like that. I don't like to do math on the air. But at the end of the day, I would much rather do it. Honestly, I think there's a few different ways that we can give the government back to the people. Not the monies back to the people, the power back to the people. The first one is get rid of the House of Representatives and make me log in with my citizen ID or my social security number and let me be the House of Representatives for myself. Now, that takes constitutional side of it.
If my memory is correct, you talked about that yesterday.
I did. I think that's one of the very important things that we've got over here with it. The other thing that I think we should do, if we do not do it that way, we should treat the House of Representatives as a jury pool. That way, we know that we are plucking people out of the actual representation instead of career politicians. 483 of them that will not get off their butts.
Talk about utilizing blockchain as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And when I was going to, if I would have won my elections, Kane County Board, I was only going to do 2 terms. And this is what should happen. We should do term limits and put new fresh faces. That's for the people to do that. Like you said, exactly. And
talk about term limits a little bit. What is the difference? And Dennis, please jump in on this too. But how do you feel about voting versus term limits? Because if we are upstanding citizens, we would turn around and go, that person is messing stuff up. We need to stop voting for them. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I want to go back.
Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Made this statement about blockchain.
Yes, blockchain. We're losing you a little bit.
Ben.
Yes.
Was it Ben? It
was Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What was the question again, Dennis?
Well, he mentioned blockchain process. I'm asking Ben to expound on that a bit. I'd like to understand it better.
Sure. I'm definitely not an expert in crypto or the blockchain
Nor am I,
space.
But they always try to use, they try to use it in my business a lot of times. And I really don't understand it.
Well, let me explain the magic piece of paper.
Please.
This is how I explain blockchain is you have a magic piece of paper and I have a magic piece of paper. Everything that I write on that piece of paper shows up on your magic piece of paper. Everything that you write on your piece of paper shows up on my magic piece of paper.
That's a fax machine.
Well, sure, fax machine, but a fax machine, I have to write it and then fax it to you for you to have a copy. Imagine in real time, as I am writing, the letters show up right there on it. So I push E on my keyboard over here, E shows up on your magic piece of paper. So what that is able to do is I'm able to have 50, 60,000 magic pieces of paper. And with that, I am able to keep track of all of the information that comes in and out, and I am able to verify the validity of all of that information. Because if I have 50,000 magical piece of papers that say one thing, and I have one that says something different, that one gets thrown out, and we go back to whatever the 50,000 consensus is.
Very good. Understood. That's called transparency.
Yes. And that's what they're trying to do with so many different systems because blockchain is easily read by AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of being used more so for in the crypto space
Exactly.
and the metaverse type of aspect of it. In other words, to make money.
Exactly. So what they do in the crypto side of it is we have the ledger that says who owns how much crypto in it. When someone buys crypto, that magic piece of paper's information changes, and then all 50,000 of them change at once. And so that I can't throw in my own fake magic piece of paper and say, oh, no, I own all of this crypto that's over here. Look at my magic piece of paper. This is what it says. All the other magic pieces of paper will then say, no, sir, you don't belong here.
Yeah, at that point, you're just keeping a diary.
Exactly. Does that help you a little bit there, sir?
Well, I think it's informed me, and I learned something, and I think that's really all I have presently.
Well, as long as you learn something, then mission accomplished, brother.
Hey, it's worth the call.
Have
Thank
a great
you. weekend. Very
Awesome.
good. Thank you. I'm listening. Bye.
Maybe for me to understand that a little bit better, it should be on the Schoolhouse of Rock cartoons there. You know? Maybe I'll understand that better because I don't understand it.
Crypto, gotta learn all about crypto.
Sitting here on Crypto Hill.
Well, you Beetlejuiced him earlier there, Elliot. Of course, we've got our very own Dutchman. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Well, you guys plan on getting rich off all the techie stocks or the crypto? And
it's happening as we speak, Dutchman.
I got
just as we speak. Yep. You got Haktula coin?
Yeah.
I'm doing my own NFTs right now. So if you want to know, Geek Chicago crypto.
I've got my own NF David tees.
Puns, ring the bell. Come on.
Go ahead, buddy. What would you like to talk about, Dutch?
No, I was going to say, I remember when it was $17,000 for one coin.
Oh, my God.
When they first started this, and one of my buddies fell into that. Now, I don't know how many coins he bought. He moved away soon after, but he was big into that. Oh, yeah, because he's a techie guy, and he was an engineer. So for some reason, I've heard people go into that, and I said,
it is highly volatile more than the stock market. Like, if the stock market could already be changed with a tweet, you could just imagine what cryptocurrency can be changed with.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. I mean, you got to be a rich person to play that game and have well, this friend of mine does this for a living. That's what he did. He said in one swift 5-minute segment one time, he lost $5 million.
Oh, yeah. That's
but he gained it back. So, whatever clients he was working for there, because he works for him, but
If that doesn't sound like a slot machine, I don't know what does.
I know.
Pull the lever. I lost $5 million this time. Pull it again. I gained $5 million. Hooray!
So that's what those Bitcoin machines are for. Now I see over at a gas station now. All right, I'm going to put some money in there.
Just go one to the right, put a 20 in there. Maybe.
Well, the one thing I'll tell people is beware of the internet and AI. You ever see the movie with Will Smith in it? It was I, Robot.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
No, Sonny is absolutely on its way.
Well, everybody worries about their jobs. Well, if corporations can make money off using robots, they don't have to pay overtime for. They don't have to pay, all these other fringe benefits that big companies are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what everybody is missing on this is all of the great empires, all of them, every single one, Rome, Great Britain, any dynasty that's out there, the United States, every single one of them was built off of free labor. Now, I would much rather have a machine do my free labor than a group of people.
Hey, man, Genghis Khan wasn't that. No, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it.
He wasn't that bad?
No.
I'll tell you why Genghis Khan was great. He stopped the Crusades, but we can get into that later.
Khan, the wrath of Khan. Khan, you bloodsucker, you. That's one of my favorite movies. I love it when Ricardo Montalban gets on there, and it's just, I got you, guys, I got you. That was good.
Since we've already started to break down the show a little bit here, I want a general question that I'll just throw out to everybody we've got, and you can go first here, Dutch. If you had to pick one movie, empire, or region to live in, what would you pick? Whether it's a utopia or a movie franchise, what would you pick?
Well, I like where I'm at now.
That's the best answer.
Okay, so no, I like it. Well, okay, like we were talking the other day, Richard Branson's Island. I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to look at the positive side of people with money, right? Yeah, that's because the only reason you don't like that is because you don't know anybody with money. See, the second you know somebody like a Richard Branson or Elon Musk, you'll go, oh, okay, I like you.
Yeah, I know a 1%er, but I don't think he was as cool as maybe like the 0.1%ers that are out there. Because when you're a 1%er, like you definitely want to keep your money. When you are a 0.1%er, you got so much money you don't even know what to do with. I could see that there's a Rubicon there.
But anyway, I wish you guys a great weekend, and
you too, buddy.
I'll be back on Sunday. The problem is now I got to get ready for a surgery in a couple weeks. So there you go.
Good luck to your surgery, and have a great weekend.
And you guys, thanks again, all you guys on the panel. The show was awesome, so keep up the good work, and I'll keep plugging you. God bless you.
Thank you,
Appreciate the interaction, as always, Dutch.
God bless America as well. Anybody want to take me up on the universal transporter right now?
Yeah, I'm for it.
What are you taking?
Oh no, I can't do the transporter. No, I can't.
Not the transporter. It's me sending you to another dimension.
Oh no, that would be. I would if these are the fictional universes that I'm familiar with.
Yep.
So if it's ones that I'm familiar with, I would do the Star Trek future.
Yeah. I think that's top of mind.
Because on Earth, they've eradicated all war, all hunger, everything. It's like Earth in the Star Trek universes is that utopia that we've been hoping for.
Is it okay to be racist against aliens?
See, that's the thing. That's why they introduced the aliens on Star Trek, so that because they can never have the humans racist against each other, but they would be racist against the aliens.
Mr. Tease, is it racism or is it speciesism?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would have to say speciesism. They're from another planet.
Hypothetically,
what would you pick, sir? If you had to pick an alternate fictional universe to move to?
Oh Lord,
I know where you want to go.
back to 1984 in the DeLorean. You know, I mean, that's a good year to be in. I personally.
I know you want to be in Donkey Kong Land. You want to run around with Mario and Luigi like a plumber.
There you go.
And rescue the princess.
I thought it was because I look like a monkey. That's what people say. I look like a monkey. You know?
You'd be jumping over the barrel. No, monkeys have hair on their face. You have nothing.
Yeah, I know. I feel so sad.
Grow a beard. Get a mustache.
So one of the reasons I was kind of bringing up a little bit of the racism in Star Trek, because it's prevalent. My goodness, so much racism in that show.
It's even brought up but it's funny because Dutchman was talking about the Wrath of Khan, which is I don't know why I've been watching clips from Wrath of Khan on YouTube for some reason. I went down that, but there's
Is it because the Federation left Khan on the planet
SETI Alpha,
left him alone?
SETI Alpha 5. But then there's the bit the director of Wrath of Khan would come back and do the Undiscovered Country. That's the sixth one. That where you have Kirk and the Klingons having a bit of a bit back and forth, and they talk about they make that very thing where Kirk says something about all humankind, and then the daughter of the Klingon ambassador goes, "Humankind." That very phrase is racist. You know, she comes out and calls it racism. And I'm like,
humankind.
I never thought of it that way.
When they say humanity, with everything. So this is what I want to talk about just a little bit, because we've had a lot of I don't want to necessarily say attacks, but let's say revocations of DEI policies, just being taken back. In addition to it, it wasn't just a removal of DEI policies. It was also a instigation of anti-DEI sentiment as well, to where if you were a majority person and a person that you thought was hired because of the DEI program, you can now report that business to the government. You can now say, I applied for that job over there, but a minority got it and not me. I'm more qualified than them. That you can now report that business to the government, to the, I can't remember which place that you can do it, but I believe it is some sort of hotline that's out there. There's also now an investigation of anti-Christian sentiment that is now being pushed in the side. Is this a default back to white Christian males being the default? I say as a white male who was raised Christian.
I would say it's kind of hard to argue against it, which is almost the whole premise on its face, as I see it at least, where it's not plausible deniability, but burden of proof that you're not using DEI practices. And it's, it just gums up the works. It's a lot like I see with what's in the news today about the Kamala interview. If they're going to go over to media companies and comb through all of their interviews and edits and all this stuff, how much of the stuff could you argue that is because of this reason and that reason, and not just simply because it's a media industry and you need the time that that editing brings to get someone's point out there. And it just it's like suing somebody because they can't defend themselves,
or suing somebody to advertise on your platform.
Exactly.
As I hate to put you on the spot here, Elliot, but I'll put you on the spot here.
Here we go. I've been so good this whole show.
How do you feel about this with your background? How do you feel about this not having the same, I guess, makeup or the same frontward appearance towards?
Mean as being a non-white man?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
trying to do it without rubbing it in your face. No, I'm just joking.
I'll say this. As a Hispanic male, I will concede I've never had to deal with sexism.
Okay.
And I've had my Hispanic sisters deal with that in addition to racism. We all love this idea of living in a world where we're all, everyone gets their job because they're qualified, and I don't see color and blah 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 blah. But no, I have encountered it. I have experienced it. Am I going to sit there and cry about it? No, I know that's just the way of the world. But I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm never going to tell you, hey, I got an advantage because of whatever. Lord knows that I missed out on a hell of a lot of opportunities to people who I felt I was more qualified for. So I never got an advantage from it, but I'm not going to complain about it. And so how do I feel about it? In all honesty, I just think it's theater. It's getting to get people worked up about it, that there's really no, it's just like when people they talk about wokeness and that's woke. Oh, I'm so tired of everybody being woke. If you know what woke originally meant, what it was supposed to mean, I think we'd all be in on that. We'd all be on woke, meaning
keep your head on a swivel.
Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of what's happening in systems around you. The folks who talk about the deep state, guess what? That's wokeness. That's you being aware of what the government's doing. That's woke. It's not this other stuff that gets thrown in there. So, yeah.
Mr. Tease, as the only person on the panel who is a business owner, is this going to change the way that you do hiring practices in the fact of, will you be afraid that someone might accuse you of favoritism or trying to, I guess, I hate that we have to say being accused of adding diversity to your staff, but will this change some of your hiring practices, or will you just keep going business as usual?
Business as usual, but DEI is, to me, from in the 70s and 60s and 80s, is a new word to today. But back in the day, we had to, businesses had to hire so many African Americans, so many Hispanics, so many Asians for government jobs and all that stuff. So it really isn't different into what it is today. It's just a new word, DEI. They gave it a name.
As opposed to affirmative action.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so basically people were hired on that. But now, I mean, if you sit there and look at, there are more Hispanics in Elgin than there are any other backgrounds. Okay. So, I mean, how does DEI change? Now you're in a business with all Hispanics. Now you got to start hiring other people. You're turning the tables on it.
Elliot, how is that different than?
Oh man,
how is that different than when I hire somebody and I've got two people with, let's say they have practically the exact same qualifications, but I pick the other person based off of the vibe, based off of how we interact with each other, the culture significance that we've got together. How is that necessarily different than a forceful diversity? Wouldn't I go after the person that I don't vibe with if I want more diversity?
I mean, again, it's back to the beginning of these questions. It's context again, too, right? I mean, as someone who has sat in interviews, and again, I know I didn't get that job because of a particular vibe. So,
and that vibe wasn't because of your geekiness. It was.
I would hope not. But at that same and so I will give respect to employers who feel that they need to hire the folks that they think are best for the job. But that's not what DEI is. DEI is addressing the systemic exclusion of certain people because they never even had the opportunity to have that interview.
Absolutely. Thank you, panel, for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show. More WRMN after this.
Attention brides and grooms to be. Your dream wedding starts here. Join the Serendipity Collective, located in the heart of Hampshire, Illinois, for 2 incredible wedding expos, packed with inspiration, top vendors, and everything you need to plan your perfect day. First, on February 23rd, it's the Love is in the Air Wedding Expo at 1100 American Lane in Schaumburg from 12 to 4 p.m. This free event will connect you with the best in the biz. Discover everything